Well, hello.
I'm
I'm
Dave.
Sean. This is Barstools and Bandtalk.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to another one of our Women Who Rock the Maritime series. And I don't know, what can you tell about her, Sean?
Well, I've seen the video over the last 4, 5 months to a year of this wonderful lady playing with a band called Gypsy, which is a Fleetwood Mac tribute, and powerhouse vocalist, powerhouse, and just really excited to talk to her. I just love what I hear, love the voice, killer band. Have some history with Maurice, the drummer, so this will be a fun interview.
Yeah. So we're going to introduce a lady who's been around for a long time. Used to play in a band called Resky. She had other bands around here too. As Sean pointed out, lately she's had a great run with this band Gypsy, and they are remarkable. They're a 6-piece band, I want to say, and they do killer versions of Fleetwood Mac songs. I mean, all of them, really good job. So we're going to bring on Sharon Resky.
I had to get some wine.
I understand.
How much? Because you're sideways.
You're sideways, right? Don't spill your wine.
Let me see.
There you go.
Is that okay?
I was just
Yeah,
worried you're
exactly.
going to spill your wine, that's all.
There you go. There you go.
There you go.
There you go. Is that better?
Perfect.
Yes.
Okay.
So welcome, Sharon. Welcome to our show, Barstools and Bandtalk, where we just talk about the maritime music scene, what it was, what it is, what it could be, and you're a part of that. So we're glad you're here.
Thank you for inviting me. Very nice to be here. It's been it's an exciting scene. I mean, it's a tough scene in Atlantic Canada, right? But it's a lot of fun. I mean, there's so many great musicians that have come from here. And I've been fortunate to play with a few of them. And of course, I played full-time for a little while, and then I played part-time. And now I play in a part-time tribute band doing Fleetwood Mac. And it's absolutely amazing project. I have the best musicians.
You do.
They're super talented. We actually did we're waiting for it to be put together from my piano player, but we put together a really nice video of 4 or 5 of our songs that are going to be split in for just for a nice promo package. So
nice.
that should be pretty nice. We did it the week before lockdown.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So,
Well, when you get it, Sharon, make sure to send us a copy, and we'll put it up here for you.
For sure. Yes, we will put it. We also have a Facebook page,
Excellent.
Gypsy Facebook page. So we'll put it on there as well. But yeah, we will definitely.
Now, I've seen the band Gypsy. I don't think Sean's seen it yet. I've seen it like twice. Once down at the waterfront, which was a great show at the Stubborn Goat at the. That was
Yes,
amazing
that
show.
was last summer. That's right up on top of there.
And then another time at the I always call it the Copper Penny or the Jolly Sixpence, but it's the Lower Deck in Clayton Park.
The
now.
Lower Deck.
Yeah,
That's right. Yeah,
that was a great show. So,
Thank you. That was a great show. We also play at the Marquee on a regular basis.
oh, nice.
Yeah.
But take us back now, Sharon. How did you first start in music?
I was about 3 years old. No. First time I heard female singers, probably Julie Andrews was my first, but I don't have that voice, right? It was like, wow, wouldn't that be nice to be able to sing like that? And then, of course, as I got older, I was in the church choir and sang, with my school plays and different things like that all my life. And then when I was a teenager and moved to Atlantic Canada, because I came from out west,
Okay.
I was in a band called Waterfall, actually in Moncton in Riverview.
Okay.
For a few years, and then I came to Halifax, and I was in the Customers. Was the first band I was in 1984 with Jamie Miles. John Chasson was our bass player.
Nice.
Wonderful. The musicians were all wonderful as well as Jamie Miles, and at the time Shan Arsenault was playing with us too, and he's a fine guitar player.
Yeah, Bill Sloach is there. Yeah.
Sloach is there. So I've been fortunate. We picked up a piano player named Wally Hall when we were in Newfoundland doing a tour, because at the time Ross Billard was going to be going to St. FX. So that would have been in 85 or 86, something like that. So we brought Wally Hall back, and he was with us for probably a couple of years. And then I ended up going back to working full time and got into a couple of different full-time bands. I was with Risque, and what was the other band? White Lies.
Okay.
With Ian Perry. and I was with Risque with Susan Clark. So, you know, it's 4 years on the road full time.
Right
That
on.
was a lot. It was a lot, and it was too much, really. Because back then you used to, you know, bands were expected to play 6 days a week, singing Journey, Heart, you know, Supertramp. Like we were doing all the really heavy covers that were a little bit different.
Right.
But it's so, I mean, you're singing, I was singing. And then you'd have someone that say, hey, you guys need to do a matinee this afternoon on a Saturday after playing for 6 nights. And you'd be like, oh my God. But
Yeah.
that was just the way it was, right? Unfortunately, I'm not a writer, probably just because I just haven't disciplined myself to do that. So I've just played in different cover bands over the years, and I just love it. I get out of it for a little while. I played in a part-time band called The Classics. I was with them for 5 years.
Okay.
Then I got married. I had a baby, and you know she's all grown up now. She's almost.
You must
And
be
then,
about 10 when you had her, I guess, eh?
Right, yeah, that's right. But you know, and then played in a couple of other part-time bands with one of my best friends, the late Donna Saunders. She's passed away a few years ago, but God bless her heart. She loved to sing as well. And Frank McDonald, and I mean, I could name a bunch of so many musicians. You know, I played with Andrew Douglas. I played, like I say, Susan Clark, and really, really a great experience to be working on the road. Brian Norman just retired from CTV. He was our sound man when I was in the Customers, and he was the best. He was so professional, treated me like gold, because we were playing in, you know, we were in band houses, and he'd make sure Sharon got a good room, right? Get out of there where you're not. So, got to get your voice good. Got to, you know, just, I really was privileged to play with some really, really, really sweet individuals and great musicians and great professional people.
Awesome.
So, you know, when I was with the Customers, we used to travel on a bus that was converted to a, you know, it was a bus that we took everywhere. We were in Newfoundland. We went everywhere in the Atlantic Canada. The only place we didn't play with that band was in Prince Edward Island. I don't recall us doing a gig in PEI. That was about it.
Yeah, it was a weird scene. I think back in the early 80s it was good, but I mean, like even when Sean and I were in the mid 80s when we first started, and
Right.
I only played maybe 2 places over there because it didn't seem like they were catering to a rock crowd, and it wasn't like you couldn't bring your gear in. It was more like a tavern. Like the taverns were big.
Okay.
They
Right.
had Myron's, and I'm trying to think of the other one. But
Well, they had the showboat. The showboat in Charlottetown was a big room.
Okay. I think I recall hearing about it, but I don't remember playing there at
And
all.
they
You were
used to do
doing
a lot of stuff.
smooth turning.
They used to do a lot of stuff at UPEI, like a lot of
Right.
different type things. So, one of the themes, Sharon, that we're starting to, you know, starting to evolve around is the fact of how many clubs used to be around that,
I
you know,
know.
you play 6 nights a week in Dartmouth and,
Yeah.
you know, play 13 weeks in a row in Dartmouth,
Yeah.
and it's just not there anymore. What's your recollection of that?
Right. The Dartmouth Inn, even Peddler's Pub when you first came in, like not just Dartmouth, but in Halifax as well. And there were, you know, you used to play at the Moon, Misty Moon, play at the Palace, do the rotation, and you know, playing late into the night, and it was just unbelievable. We backed up when I was with the Customers. We backed up Bachman Turner Overdrive. You know, like wow. And the guys were big guys then, so they wanted to stay. I don't know if you remember the way that the band rooms worked, but the main band room was on the 3rd floor, and the band room with all the writing on the walls was on the 1st floor. And the guys didn't want to go up to the 3rd floor because they were huffing and puffing because they were kind of heavy. So we played there with the Blushing Brides. We played in Dartmouth with 8 Seconds, I think they were called. You know, it was a lot of fun, and we kind of took it for granted the amount of places there were to play. And they just, like you said, they just disappeared over time. I think that bars made a lot of mistakes by not having their own concierge service to drive people.
That's a good point.
Seriously,
That's a really good point.
you cannot go anywhere and have more than one drink unless you're prepared to take a taxi home. So people who live in, you know, in Whites Lake or Terrence Bay or Prospect, you can't afford to spend $100 every time you want to go out and take a taxi home.
Well,
So
that's
a challenge.
good feedback, because that's actually the first time we've heard that since we've been doing it for a little over 2 weeks. Because, you know, we talked about the smoking bylaw, and we just talked about, you know, VLTs and different sorts of things. But that's an amazing perspective. I mean, because to your point, you know, we don't live hundreds of miles away, but, you know, laws are pretty strict. You can't, and a cab ride from Halifax back to where I live in Dartmouth might cost you $40, right?
Right.
But you're right. You're out of town. It's $100 a night just for train. Now that was back in the '80s now too, Sean. Now we're talking. I haven't been in a cab in I don't know how long, but for any kind of distance, I mean, you spend $100 for a cab and another $150 for drinks and the cover charge. It's like a $300 a night. That's a lot of money. You know what I mean? It is a lot of money.
Yeah, that's right. It's a lot of money. And another thing is the time frame. I know that restaurants and bars, they all want to work within a certain amount of a time frame. They want to be open from 2 till, or from 10 until 2. Bands play really late because people generally like to drink as the night goes on. Well, when we play with Gypsy, we don't do that. We start at 8 o'clock and we play before we're done by midnight. Because most of my friends now who are, you know, they want to get home.
They had kids when they were 10, yeah.
You know, so they're tweens now. They don't have children at home generally, but they don't want to be out going to see a band that doesn't start till 10, and then they don't start till 10:30, and the next thing you know, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, and you don't have a day the next day. Yeah. So the changing of the time frame of the entertainment needs to happen, because people just can't be staying out and not having a life the next day. That's just my opinion. So because I'm fortunate enough to make the rules with this band Gypsy, because we are a feature band, it's a totally different thing. I'm able to work with the club owners and say to them, we start at 8 o'clock. There is a couple of bars will start at 9, but we don't do any 10 o'clock starts. I can't stay up that late. Yeah,
I hear you.
Good on you, Sharon. That's awesome. And it's funny because you're right. When I went out to see you guys play, I was like, 8 o'clock, that's a weird start. But I thought it was more like a concert versus, you know, like a bar band kind of idea, because it was closed off and it was a feature. You're right, a feature band. So I have a question for you now. So before you got involved with this, who were you using for representation? Like which agents were you using back in the day in Risque and stuff?
Years and years and years ago, it would have been Mike Shepard, bless his heart, rest in peace. And I never worked with Hazen. And I mostly worked with, you know, and a lot of times I've played in bands where I've done it myself. Like with Gypsy, I primarily do it now. There is a gentleman named Don Coleman who is in New Brunswick, who recently got a hold of me, and he's actually had booked us for a couple of gigs upcoming, but they're falling through because of what's happened. But he's terrific. He seems to really know his stuff. I think he came from Toronto, and he's been in New Brunswick for a few years now. And just the way he spoke to me, I took the chance to say, well, this is what we'll do then. I will keep getting the ones that I get, and if you can work with me to do some other bookings, then I don't mind doing that, as long as I, it's got to be a trust value. That's the factor in everything, is to have a good working relationship with everybody. Like, I'm not going in and demanding anything. I'm just having a conversation about what makes sense. So, mostly I do it myself, only because then I know where the money's going. And I always treat the band. I've always worked in bands where it's always been sort of every musician makes the same.
Right.
Because then we're all taking the same risk.
Right.
So with this project, it's really nice because I'm getting tired of playing for $60.
Yeah.
It's exhausting. You got to put gas in and it's very hard. Yeah. But that's the reality of live music now. Really, it hasn't changed. What everybody's getting paid really hasn't changed. In fact, it's gone down in a number of years, especially for cover bands. So this particular project has made a big difference in the way that I'm able to reciprocate for the rest of the band members, and to be paid properly in that way when we rehearse. Everybody's time is valuable.
Sure it is.
So I don't mind, like everyone else. We do actually a fundraiser every year at Monty's for Parker Street Food and Furniture Bank. So what we'll do is the ticket sales, the portion of every single ticket will go right to Parker Street Food and Furniture Bank. And then we also have a silent auction. We do a food drive, and we've been doing that. It'll be 9 years this year.
Wow.
Whether it happens or not in November, we don't know. So I love doing those kinds of things. I just don't like being taken for granted and taken advantage of, because there's an awful lot of big fundraisers now where they'll try to get somebody to come in and work for free because you're going to get all this exposure. And I don't believe in that. I don't think it's fair to the musicians, and I won't do that to my band. You know, sometimes we'll do a fundraiser. Well, I won't get paid, but they will make sure that, you know, no, this is what we'll do, but my portion of it might go to whatever I'm doing, that sort of thing. Then that's my responsibility and what
Sure.
I'm doing. But it's, you know, we all have to give back, but we don't like to be taken advantage of either. That's not fair to anyone.
That's you know what, and we're speaking the same language, because it's funny. Sometimes you play a wedding and they'll pay for the hall, the limo, the food, the caterer, the whole thing, and then go, oh, you're a band. We got $200. Want to do the gig, and it's like, sorry, no.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's
I know what you mean. Yes. Yeah, it is expensive.
So I have a little bit of history with your drummer, Maurice. When I was in high school, I actually took lessons from Maurice.
Okay.
Yeah, he was a wicked teacher. He was a great guy. He was only at the conservatory for a short period. I think he went out and he started playing again. But talk to us about your band now, because I haven't video, but I was supposed to go with Dave that night. They didn't make it. So talk to us about the folks that are playing with you now.
Okay, well, as you had mentioned, Maurice Nadeau is playing drums. He's from St. John, New Brunswick originally, and he's been playing probably since 1969. I mean, he's been playing since he was very young. Really solid drummer. I mean, he's just amazing. He's sort of the backbone of the band. And then we have playing bass, we have Aaron Hill, who plays a fretless bass.
Yeah.
He played with Dwight Dion for a time. Yeah, so he was with him for a time, and I'm not sure if Dwight's still playing or not, but I'm fortunate enough to have Aaron. He's recently become father, so that's pretty exciting.
Oh, congratulations to him.
Yeah. John Cornwall is our piano player, and he works at the Carlton. So he's a really, really old soul. Like, he's got his nature about him. He's sort of my right arm. Him and I have been playing together the longest.
He plays guitar too, right? He plays playing piano and guitar. Yeah,
he does, and he's an excellent songwriter. He's an excellent songwriter and vocalist, and he does a lot of the thirds and the, you know, because we have 3 people in the band that sing as well. Right. My guitar player's name is Don Morash, and he plays a lot.
He blew my mind, Sharon. He blew my mind. I watched him. As like, oh my God, it was exactly the record. It was, I mean, exactly. And he honestly, God blew my mind. I don't think I knew him from before, but I was like, who's that guy playing? Holy mackerel.
I know, because, you know, Don is the best kept secret. Don Morash is one of the best guitar players I've worked with. And I mean, before him, we had Bruce Timmons, and Bruce is a monster. He's an awesome guitar player as well. So I've been fortunate to have really great players with me as well. Sheila Lamplugh, who played with the Funk and Flames years ago, and she's been in the music industry for many, many years, a very good friend of the family of Anne Murray and their family as well, because she's from Spring Hill. So she knows them all personally. Yeah, so, and Sheila is a piano player, and she's also, her voice and my voice blend really well. Like, she's got a really, really nice,
nice blend. The harmonies in your band were like, and the first time it was kind of, you know, I might have been having a few the first time. Then when I was downtown, the first time I saw you play, so I don't remember it as well as the second
one of
time.
these?
Pardon me? Yeah. I've got a few of those. But the second time up at the Copper Penny there, or whatever it's called, Lower Deck, I really paid attention to the band, and I was really super impressed. Like, it was like the vocals were bang on, the guitar, and Maurice, like, I knew Maurice, he and I had become friends on Facebook, whatever, and I said, well, whatever, but he is a monster. Like I said, my friend Sean is a wicked drummer, you know what I mean? But I was blown away. Yeah, like, but your voices blend so well, and you nail that stuff so well.
Yeah, and that's what we do. We rehearse. And whenever we're going to be playing again, we get together and rehearse. And another thing that we've done with this band is we didn't pick 35 songs and that's all we do. What we've done over almost every single year, we'll learn 3 or 4 new songs and add that to the repertoire. And sometimes we drop songs and we pick them up, and we just, depending on how the crowd goes. We also do a Stevie Nicks group of songs as well. So we're doing like 17, and we're doing Talk to Me, and, you know, Stand Back, and, you know, you can tell the songs that everybody knows, and then there's a lot of songs that some people know. So it's challenging, but it's really exciting for us because we're playing the same band all the time. So we have to keep it fresh, even for just for ourselves.
Right.
But it's another thing with this particular group of people is there's no egos. We're too old for that crap, right? It's really about working together, coming to rehearsal prepared. They're so professional. Everybody does their homework. We get in and we rehearse literally from 6:30 is the time we get there. We start at 7, and 8:30 we're playing, like we rehearse for an hour and a half, and we'll get, if it's a new song or 2 new songs, we'll get those in. But if it's just rehearsal to kind of catch up and pick up things, we can go through 20 or 30 songs, and sometimes I'm like, okay, you guys need a break, Sometimes we'll have longer rehearsals, but generally they're just an hour and a half, 2 hours long, and we get in, we get it done, and off we go. It's like family. This band is like working with family. We've been together for over 10 years. It's like 12 years we've been playing together. Might even be longer than that. I think John and I have been playing together for almost 20 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because we were the band before that, we were called Guys and Dolls. Okay. And we did some Fleetwood Mac. So we've kind of transitioned into that, where it was like, someone had said, you should do some more Fleetwood Mac. And I thought, well, I'm not sure if anybody would like that. And oh, yeah. And it's such a good project for me. It suits me well. So I've let my hair grow long, and I have, hair pieces, and I wear my contacts, and I've made costumes and different things like that. But it is really fun. And we just enjoy each other's company.
Sharon, you morphed into Stevie Nicks right before my eyes. I was like, holy mac. I saw you before the show, and then you went on. I was like, there's Stevie Nicks here all of a sudden. Like, that's kind of crazy, right? So.
Well, yeah.
I was just going to say, the interesting thing about Fleetwood Mac, and I'm in a band that plays a couple tunes, obviously not as many as you guys. When you listen to it, you go, it's pretty easy. Then you play it, and they're the real deal. I mean, I find a lot of Fleetwood Mac tunes are driven by the bass. John McVie's just a fantastic bass player.
Yes.
But the interaction between the bass and the drums, and then it's interesting, and it's fun stuff to play, and it's not easy.
That's very true. It seems very simplistic, but it is very intricate. And a lot of that is Lindsey Buckingham, of course. He's such a great producer. Great songwriter, little bit different but Stevie Nicks was the one who was mostly writing most of the hits for that band, as well, and Christine McVie, and, writing together. And it's really interesting. There's so many, facets of Fleetwood Mac, the way that they started. I mean, they did 10 albums before Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks joined the band. They started out there. I saw them in concert in Toronto in November, and they did Black Magic Woman. I'm a black magic woman is how she sang it, how Stevie Nicks did it, because a lot of people think that that's a Santana song, and it actually was written by Fleetwood Mac. So they had 10 albums out, and then of course Stevie Nicks joined the band with Lindsey Buckingham because they were looking for a guitar player. So they hired, Lindsey Buckingham, and he said, my girlfriend and I are a package deal. And they said, well, okay, good for Christine. She'll have somebody to play with. And it turned out to be the best decision they ever made, because she really, really is a super, super talented songwriter. And all of them are super talented.
So Sharon, aside now, I know that you can morph into Stevie Nicks like that. What else do you like to sing? What else is in your wheelhouse that you prefer to sing?
Well, I love singing Bonnie Raitt. I do Angels from Montgomery far too many times everywhere I go. Like it really is a song that's suited for my voice. I have sang Heart. It's just Nancy Wilson is just the power rock singer on the planet. Yeah. She's just an amazing singer. I sing all kinds of different things. I've sang Styx and Supertramp and April Wine and all kinds of things. And because I have such a low voice and such a deep voice, I can sing a lot of male material. Right. In fact, when I joined the Customers, Jamie Miles had said to me, I never realized that a woman could sing like a man, like that kind of, have that kind of tone. And then, of course, over the years, there have been a lot more women who have deep voices, like Tracy Chapman, for example. I mean, her songwriting is outstanding. And so, I love Tracy Chapman. I don't sing Tracy Chapman, but we used to do a song by Tracy Chapman that my friend Donna used to sing when we were with Guys and Dolls. So there's all kinds of stuff that I've done over the years. And one of my favorite songs to sing, I can't even think of it now. It's, I want to say it's Aha, but never mind, forget it. I'm 50 something and those things go out of my head pretty quickly. Anyways, so there's a lot of male stuff that I like singing as well. No, it's not, but it's I can't. I don't want to sing it because it'll just. It's
Just build it out.
all I can hear in my head is part.
Well, no.
Um, Sharon, when we've been talking to some of the that we've been chatting with, the recurring theme, is obviously, but B, they kind of had to do a little bit of ass kicking with some of their fellow bandmates and people on the scene because maybe they were maybe not taken as serious as they should have been. Did you find that back in the day when you were coming up?
I'm trying to think if there was any musicians that I played with that showed up at rehearsal that weren't prepared. And if they weren't in our bands for very long because we just didn't tolerate that. There was just really no tolerance for it. We had a couple of swashbuckler kind of, players who thought they were all that bag of shit. I don't want to mention any names because I still love them very much, but they're pains in the ass, some of them. Sound men like that too.
They know who they are. They'll watch this video and they know who they are.
They know who they are.
Yeah,
it's not Maurice that I'm talking about.
No, you're talking to a couple of swashbucklers here, so we can relate.
Yeah, friggin' swashbucklers. I like that word. I like it.
But yeah, mostly I've been very, very fortunate. Did a small amount of recording with the customers, but never really took that side of it seriously. I guess at this stage, I wish I would do that, but that's up to me. I mean, I can blame no one else for that except myself. And maybe there'll come a time. This probably could have been a good time to do something like that, but this right now with what's going on with the coronavirus and all of these things with work and what's going on in the world. We're very fortunate to live in Canada. I can tell you that right now. And we're very fortunate, and I don't want to get into all the politics of it all, but we're very fortunate that Trudeau is actually at the helm at this point in time, because otherwise it'd be a nightmare like they're dealing with in the United States. So getting into the creative side of things right now, I just found this a little bit too emotional and too not super stressful, but just I wasn't able to grasp into that side, that creative side for myself at this point in time. Doesn't mean I won't do it, but maybe sometime in the future I will.
We're almost out of time, but I just want to say, like, based on what I've just heard now, Sharon, I feel like I know you so much better. I don't think there's too much that you wouldn't do or you couldn't do. Like I said,
well, I try to. Well, thank you very much. But I also make sure that when I'm doing a song that's not suited for me, then we need to change the key into something that's more comfortable, because otherwise it just sounds like, someone's, swinging a cat around. It's not fair to the people who are listening to it. And it's also not fair to cover somebody that isn't in my range. I've seen Anne Murray do it, singing alongside of Alan Thicke. They were doing something together and she said, no, that's in your key. It wasn't in her key. So we'll switch that up. So, you have to work with what you can do. I'm not Celine Dion. I don't have that kind of voice. I'm just working with what I have. And I love playing with musicians who are more than willing to work with each other. And another thing we do with this band is we have each other's backs 110%. If we're playing and I throw something off, I miss a line or something, band just goes, boom. Most people don't even notice it. If anyone else makes a mistake, we just listen to each other, tune into each other, and boom, we just get right back on track and carry on. That's the most important thing. It's because we're there to entertain people. Exactly. It isn't rocket science, right?
Well, you know what? Really good.
I love that line. You got a bunch of one-liners there now. Swashbucklers.
Oh, yeah, you and I need to hang out because I got all kinds of those. For
I
sure.
love it.
Yeah, I get to talking a little Shawnee because I'm like a acronym. Like my whole life is basically like that. You and I should probably hang out because, I feel like I'm hearing.
Sure.
But you made one really good point that I do want to just quickly touch on when you talked about, basically be yourself. You are who you are. Don't try to do something that you're not, because I know a lot of people try to do that. And you and I are similar in that. I know what my strengths and weaknesses are. Try to work quite in my strengths, and I think that's very important.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, it totally is. And work with whatever God gave us. We just got to work with it, right? And bring in as many people as we can, not just to the shows, but the musicians as well. The community is really, really important. go to other people's shows as much as possible. I lived in Terrence Bay for the last 13 or 14 years, so it was really difficult to get back and forth. I'm back in Timberley again, so I might be able to start going to shows when we can have shows again.
It'll happen. It'll happen.
Nine gigs. We had 9 gigs lined up, actually 12 in 2020. This was going to be our biggest year. We were going to Newfoundland. We were supposed to go to Newfoundland for a festival. We were like the headliner.
Well, I hear you. I'm on 7 or 8 weekends that I've missed playing, so it's yeah.
I know. I hear you. What about you, Dave? Who do you play with?
Well, Sean and I were putting a little project together just before this as a part-time project. I found some of the guys we're putting it together. I was in another band for the last year and a half, and we only played a handful of times. It didn't play very much. So I've been playing for 35 years. Of the last 35, trying to put a band together for about 25 of them. That's kind of how it works. But yeah, this last project I'm pretty excited, and it's still going to happen. But it's just
right.
Wait a little bit of time. So
just on pause. Just on pause, right?
Pause. Exactly.
Just on pause. Yeah. Exactly. Well, it was great to meet you guys.
Yeah, you as well.
Sharon, it's a pleasure to have you on. And you have to watch it. I don't think you're even on our site yet. You should join our little webpage. It's on Facebook.
I think I joined today. I think I did, so I'm going to have to do some more. But if you just give me a nudge every now and again and go, come on, Sharon.
Well, you'll see some of the people that we just talked about. Brian Norman. We had a big hour-long interview with Brian Norman. And
love Brian. Such a gentleman. Such a lovely
Roberts. You'll see.
Oh, I love Dave.
Peter
he calls me my Sharon. Yeah, when he sees me. Who else? Sorry, Dave Roberts, and who else?
Peter Bayless. We've done. There's more that you haven't seen yet. Lee Dimbert from Razor Boy, Jackie Smith from Razor Boy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jackie and I are good friends. I love Jackie.
You'll be able to go through, and you'll see some pretty neat interviews. Roy Mumbercat.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know Roy very well. I don't even think I know Roy.
Yeah, he's a lighting tech, but yeah.
Okay.
There'll be some surprises there. You'll see. We're working on
a
5-piece section with Bruce Wheaton. You'll see him shortly.
Oh, okay. Very good.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, but Sharon, this is a treat to have you on here. Oh, Joan Kirby. Joan Kirby ran KCO with Doug Kirby as an agent. I'm not sure if you remember Joan.
I don't remember Joan. I remember the name Doug Kirby.
Yeah, I think he's synonymous for the representation. But yeah, we try to capture it all. We're going to talk to some bar staff, some club. Oh, Jeff Palmenter for the Misty Moon. On the Misty Moon, he's been on. He's going to be on again.
Okay.
Yeah, we're trying to talk to everybody to try and get the full picture for those who weren't there and those who weren't.
That's right. And talk to Nancy as well at the Monty's.
Oh,
Nancy Negrala, yeah.
We get something cooking up with Monty's.
Okay, good. Because we're supposed to play there on June the 6th, but I don't think that's going to happen now.
Well, I'll tell you what, if we do, maybe talk to you about it because it's going to be pretty fun.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sharon, thank you so much for being on this show. We appreciate it. It's been an absolute treat.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
All right. Take care, Carolyn.
Yeah, you take care.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.